I've wanted to own a novelty everyday phone for quite some time now. I love my OnePlus 12, but it feels like too much of a phone for my day-to-day tasks. In today's video, I want to talk about all the cool things that the Razr phones can do, and many of its issues that make it hard to recommend. In terms of design, the 40 and 50 Ultra are gorgeous little phones. Thanks to Motorola's collaboration with Pantone, their phones have really interesting vibrant colours, except mine is the black model, with a design pattern on the back reminiscent of OnePlus's sandstone. While its slightly rough texture doesn't stick to your hands like normal glass, it is still glass, and it can slide on uneven surfaces and crack when dropped. But if you opted to pick up the Viva Magenta colour, the rear panel is made of a vegan leather, i.e. plastic. I love how Motorola has pioneered this model of giving you the option between glass and plastic. Even when folded, it is not ridiculously thick or anything, it feels rather nice in the hand. Let's talk the cover display then. For the longest time, I hated flip phones because of their complete uselessness when folded. Not only did Motorola blow Samsung out of the water when the 40 Ultra was announced, having competed with the Flip 4's tiny display, Motorola is still completely ahead of Samsung, with not only the usable display area, but also with the software. When you lift up the phone or double tap the display, you get a lock screen. Mine is rather boring, but you get a lot of customizability in terms of pre-made designs, or making your own. You can also keep the display always on. After you unlock the phone, which is easy to do thanks to the location of the fingerprint scanner embedded in the power button, you enter the unique home page. Once again, we get a lot of customizability here, and not only with the main page, but also with the widgets that are pre-installed, or you can even add a page with widgets from your favorite Android apps, provided that they have the right grid size. You also get a lot of built-in cover screen games to kill a few minutes while waiting for the bus. But most importantly, you can launch any Android app from the cover screen. Want to change your playlist? See the image that your friend posted on WhatsApp? Open your bus app to scan your ticket? No problem whatsoever. Some apps certainly scale better than others. Apple Music is a bit of a bugger for not showing you your playback controls, but you can extend the app to full screen by holding onto the gesture panel. Or alternatively, you can rotate the Razr, where the app scales more traditionally. Some of Google's own apps like Photos and Messages also have cover screen optimizations, and so does Google Assistant. Except for around a year now, it's been broken on the Razr with seemingly no fix. You cannot use it unless you flip the phone open. If you're looking for a smartphone detox phone, this is really the perfect solution. Like, yeah, you can browse social media on the screen, but with how imperfect the experience is on a small display, especially on multimedia heavy apps like TikTok or Instagram, you're not going to be using those apps for an extended period of time. But if you do want to see those apps on the big screen, all you have to do is flip the phone open, and the app will reappear on the inner display. Likewise, if you close the phone, you have the option of reopening the foreground app on the cover screen. The cover screen has some fun uses, thanks to the tent mode and stand mode, which if desired, automatically enable the always on display. With tent mode, if you are playing music, you can choose between the clock or the album art on the always on display, which is super cool. And stand mode has some fun uses too. If you pay for YouTube Premium, you'll get the video controls at the bottom of the display, and your video will shift up to the top, perfect for watching videos on your desk. You can also use stand mode to take selfies or record videos, although keep in mind that you will be limited to either a square aspect ratio or vertical because of the way that the phone is stood up, unless you have it on its side. The cover screen makes for a fantastic mirror too, since of course the main camera sensor is much bigger than the one in the selfie shooter and has autofocus too. For the people that took pictures off, they found it incredibly amusing that they could see themselves on the cover display, which let them compose themselves better or see what funny face that they're pulling. I guess since we are talking about the camera, for portraits and close-up pictures of objects, it's absolutely fine, no problems at all. It's only when we start taking landscape or cityscape photos where we notice how impressively awful the post-processing is. It has a trifecta of awful processing, over sharpening with muddy distant detail and heavy edge correction. It is genuinely, comically terrible. But thankfully you can install Gcam, and while you are limited in what the app can do, including not being able to take any video on the version that I downloaded, the actual post-processing is night and day in difference. You can see that the sensor in the phone is actually fine. You can get an alright amount of detail without all this extra post-processing. The phone's overall performance reminds me a fair bit of the Nothing Phone 2, which makes sense as both phones have the same processor. For day-to-day app opening and scrolling it's fine, but the phone will struggle in the most random ways. Like yeah, TikTok and Snapchat chug sometimes, but that was the case on the Nothing Phone, so that's nothing new. But YouTube pretty much freezes up entirely. The videos will play, but as soon as you try to interact with the video or scroll through comments, things will either take a few seconds to register, or Android will bombard you with full screen pop-ups telling you that the app is not responding and that you should close it. And it's a similar experience with the camera app. It hangs and hesitates, and that's especially true when switching to the video mode and hitting record. I'm convinced that there's a memory leak in the camera app, because my open apps will get thrown out of memory afterwards. Before I touch on software, let me wrap up talking about the hardware. The speakers are fantastic. Not the loudest, but feature plenty of bass with clear vocals. The phone supports wireless charging, and with how compact it sits nicely on my charging puck. Going from the beast that is the OnePlus 12 in regards to battery life, the Razr 40 has left me uninspired, especially since my unit is less than a year old, so the battery could not have degraded that much. I can get through the workday no problem, but if I was to push the motor more, in terms of watching multimedia or taking photos, I'd struggle by the end of the day. Finally, the phone also has a strange vibration motor, damn near identical to the Nothing Phone 2's motor, where light vibrations when typing sound and feel like tapping on glass. In terms of durability, the previous owner bought this unit in April 2024, and in the time that he had been using it, the screen protector started to peel away slightly. There's some dents on the bottom of the display, and rainbowing around the bend of the display. There are also hairline scratches on the front and back of the phone, but the inner display is pretty much scratch-free. You can feel the crease with your fingers, and when the light shines directly on it, but it's not as distracting as I was expecting it to be. The inner display is also very vibrant, though you can turn down the vibrancy, and it is otherwise a very nice panel that has all the modern features like high brightness, high refresh rate, 10-bit color and HDR. And surprisingly, those same features carry over to the cover screen. The Razr 40 Ultra, unlike its newer 50 Ultra counterpart, has the lightest of water resistance, basically good for very light rain, while the 50 Ultra can be submerged, and the screen does not get remotely as bright as on the newer model. Finally, let's talk software. The Razr 40 Ultra, unlike the 50 Ultra funnily enough, is running on Android 15, with Motorola's new skin called Hello UI. Unlike my UI, their previous skin, this new skin pushes away from the standard Material UI design to Motorola's own design language, and it's quite nice actually. One utterly minor thing that I like is the fact that the notification panel has blur behind it, as opposed to the black of the Material UI, or white if you're in light mode. Like Oppo's ColorOS, we get a lot of home screen customizability. Basically everything but the icon pack can be changed. The features of Hello UI are scattered throughout like 5 different menus, which makes it extremely confusing to remember where you need to go to change what. And there are so many tweaks that you can make to the system, it's difficult to know where to even begin. The lock screen has different clock styles and widgets that can be inserted, like iOS and One UI. The music player on the cover screen has different themes that can be applied, and you can interact with the media playback controls by tapping the screen. There is a creator toolkit, which lets you apply effects in third-party camera apps, such as forcing the ultra-wide camera, though Snapchat and Instagram both support it natively, applying beauty filters, applying a freeze frame, looping a few seconds of video, or showing the viewfinder on the cover screen. There's a feature called Moto Unplugged, which only lets you use specified apps in a separate home screen to minimize distractions while under a timer. There's Smart Connect, which like Dex on Samsung, lets you connect to any Miracast-enabled TV or display to be able to use your phone as a desktop replacement, or to throw apps on the full screen, say if you want to show your holiday snaps via Google Photos on a non-Chromecast-enabled display. This worked well on my Hisense TV, which can have problems with Miracast devices. We have Dolby Atmos for spatial audio in Apple Music, though Motorola has also added its own surround sound virtualization in the settings. We have a ton of gestures, including some of Google Roller's features like Chop Chop and Twist for camera, plus some new ones like Three-Finger Screenshot as featured by other Chinese OEMs. A smart one-handed mode that is to swipe down on the gesture panel to pull down the notification bar. Very useful since this is the first phone I cannot reach the top of the screen on because of how tall it is. Like OnePlus, we also have mini-games that can be streamed without needing an install. You can animate your own wallpaper, or use one of Motorola's many downloadable interactive wallpapers that animate based on the position of the hinge. While the skin is mostly good, there are some weird quirks with it, like how there are hardly any ringtones, with most of them being nabbed from AOSP. I did not think they could buy a phone in 2025 with bird loop. The video record sound is a stock AOSP one. And likewise, the sound when you receive a notification while on a call is from AOSP. Little things like that are completely inconsequential, but make the skin feel cheaper. Those Motorola animated wallpapers are low quality GIFs, and when choosing animation effects on your own wallpaper, they loop terribly. The lock screen clock faces are different to the ones on the cover screen too, and additionally, I've been getting some bugs I haven't had on Android for a while, like System UI getting stuck in the cover screen mode, or the Google Discovery feed being thrown out of memory and not being available on the home screen anymore. These are the sort of glitches that you never get on heavily modified skins like One UI or ColorOS. In fact, every day, like clockwork, I had to restart the Motorola because of some major glitch. Overall, this should give you a good idea on whether the 40 Ultra would be a good phone for you. While I cannot speak on whether the 50 Ultra has fixed the problems outlined in this video, overall I have mixed feelings on these Motorola flip phones. On one hand, I absolutely adore this phone. I love how it's a tiny little nugget that expands to become a normal smartphone. But then it just feels damn near unusable at times. And while I already have the perfect phone, minus issues with notifications, I really wish that the Razr 40 Ultra was the perfect phone too. For context, I paid £295 for this phone. That is cheaper than the Nothing 3A, Galaxy A35, or any other mid-range phone that's readily available in the UK or US. And for that price, the camera and performance are right on the money. You are getting a mid-ranger for the price of one. However, don't expect this phone to last you forever. And that is kind of the most heartbreaking thing, knowing that it's only a matter of time before the screen gets damaged by flipping it one too many times, or dropping the phone, or just the screen naturally breaking.